47 head of Angus cattle stood in a perfect circle in the snow, facing inward, motionless. From the ridge, Liam Callahan reined in his horse and stared. He'd run cattle here for 4 decades, and nothing compared to this.
40 years, and I've never seen a herd do this. Not once.
Not a single animal shifted its weight or flicked an ear. They didn't low. They barely seemed to breathe. He spurred his horse downhill, expecting the circle to break open as he approached. It did not. The black bodies let him pass, a narrow path opening silently and then closing behind him. They were waiting.
Something dead in the middle. I feel it in my gut.
At the center, on the white snow, a newborn calf lay on its back, eyes wide to the sky, not a mark on it.
What in the hell?
The calf was from this morning's calving. He had checked the cow at midnight. She'd been laboring normally. Liam dismounted and knelt beside the calf. Its body was stiff. He lifted it into the truck bed.
Harold, it's Liam. Get up here. I've got a dead calf and the herd acting strange.
Dr. Harold Hughes arrived within the hour. He set up in the barn and began his exam.
Liam, I can't find anything wrong. Heart's fine, lungs clear. It's like it just stopped.
Liam described the circle. The vet shook his head. A cold wind rattled the barn door. By afternoon, Evelyn Cole arrived. She took pictures, asked questions. Her tone was sharp.
All your cows stood in a perfect circle, and a calf died for no reason? That's not a claim, Mr. Callahan.
I am not asking you to believe me. I am telling you what I saw.
At dusk, Liam dug a shallow grave and buried the calf. No marker, just frozen earth. He mailed the claim anyway, but he knew the denial was coming. Something out there couldn't be explained. Weeks passed. Liam worked the ranch, but the circle haunted him. He found himself checking the herd twice a day. By the following spring, the memory had dulled. New calves dotted the pasture. No circles, no losses. Then, on a morning identical to the last, he crested the ridge and his blood stopped cold.
Number, not again.
The cattle were arranged in the same perfect circle, facing inward. In the center, another calf lay motionless. Liam forced himself to ride into the circle. The herd parted as before, silent and precise. The dead calf lay on its back, eyes open, not a mark, the same impossible stillness. He loaded the calf and called Dr. Hughes. The vet came, performed the same tests, and found nothing. Liam dug a second grave beside the first. 2 small mounds on the hillside. No insurance call, no claim. That night, he sat in the cabin and tried to reason it out, but there was no reason, only a cold certainty that it would happen again. A letter from the insurance company arrived the next week. The claim was denied. Evelyn Cole's report had been damning.
2 calves in 2 years with no cause. You need to stop filing these, Mr. Callahan. It looks like fraud.
Fraud. As if I would invent something this sick.
Word spread through the small ranching community. At the feed store, men hushed when he entered. Liam started keeping a chart. He tracked every birth, every death, moon phases, weather.
There's nothing here, no pattern. Random, that's worse.
The 3rd calving season, he rode out with a knot in his stomach. All night he'd dreamed of the circle. From half a mile out, he saw them. Another perfect circle, a tiny dark shape in the center.
Not again. God, not again.
This time, he didn't call the vet or the insurance. He buried the calf and added another red mark to his chart.
This year, I am not leaving them alone. Not for a minute.
He stayed in the saddle for 3 days straight. But a man needs coffee. When he returned, the cattle were turning, stepping into the circle by some unseen signal. He galloped, but the circle closed. In the center, another dead calf. But this one was different. On its foreleg, a spiral mark glowed faintly, like a brand from inside the hide.
Harold, there's a mark on this one. I've never seen its like.
Dr. Hughes arrived and stared at the mark. He traced it with a gloved finger.
Liam, I can't explain this. It's not a burn, not a bite. It's as if it grew there.
If Harold can't explain it, then what are we dealing with?
He buried the calf, but he took a photograph. Something told him he'd need it. Liam drove into town for supplies, but the sideways glances at the feed store reminded him he was the man whose cattle died in circles. At the library, he loaded the microfiche reader with reels from 80 years ago. The first hit was a headline from 1921, "Mysterious livestock deaths baffle ranchers." Article after article described cattle found in circles, calves with no wounds, whole herds standing motionless. The incidents spanned decades: 1935, 1947, 1962. Always one calf, always a circle.
This has been happening for 100 years. I am not the first.
A research librarian offered a book of regional folklore, a chapter titled "Offerings to the High Country." The mountain takes its tribute when it chooses. A calf, a dream, a season. Those who pay live. Those who refuse lose everything.
Mountain spirits. That's insane. But what else could it be?
He paid for photocopies and walked out into the cold, the folder heavy with a history he couldn't explain. The quarterly cattlemen's meeting filled the Grange Hall with pipe smoke and low talk. Liam spotted Walt Johansson in his usual corner.
Walt, you've been on this mountain since before the highway. Ever seen cattle do something that doesn't make sense?
Walt set his coffee down carefully. For a long moment, he just looked at Liam.
It's a tax. The mountain takes one a few years. That's all.
His voice was flat, like reading a weather report. No surprise, no doubt.
A tax? What are you talking about?
She gives you your herd. She protects it, and every few springs, she takes one calf.
Liam felt the air go cold. Walt wasn't joking. His words were too heavy for that.
You let her take it. The rest of your stock thrives. My daddy, his daddy, same deal.
Old man's lost his mind. But my own mind won't stop repeating. She takes one.
Back at the cabin, Liam poured a bourbon and sat with the photograph of the spiral mark.
Tax. That old man believes it. But I am not turning my operation over to a ghost story.
On the calendar, a cow was due in 2 days. Liam circled the date in red and started planning.
I'll be there this time. I'll sit in the middle of them and see what really happens.
The night of the due date, he drove the pickup into the lower pasture, the truck bed loaded with blankets and a thermos. In the snow, he unfolded a lawn chair and wrapped himself in a heavy coat, a rifle across his knees.
All right, let's see what you are.
The cattle paid him no mind. They chewed their cud and settled, dark shapes in the blue moonlight. The hours stretched. The cold seeped through his boots. Nothing moved but the stars.
Quiet. Too quiet. Something's waiting.
Just before dawn, the pregnant cow dropped to her knees. Liam leaned forward, heart pounding. The calf slipped out into the snow, wet and steaming. It shook its head and tried to stand.
It's alive. No circle. Maybe Walt was wrong.
Then the nearest cattle rose. One by one they turned, not grazing, not lowing, just staring. They stepped into position, a perfect ring widening around the newborn calf. No signal, no sound. Liam shouted, ran to break the circle, but the cattle turned their massive heads toward him, unblinking. He pushed against a cow's flank, but it was like granite. They simply wouldn't move. The calf, which had been nuzzling its mother, suddenly staggered. It fell onto its side, then rolled onto its back. The circle closed tighter, the cows lowering their heads. In the center, the calf lay on its back, eyes to the sky. Liam sank to his knees. On the calf's foreleg, the spiral mark bloomed like frost on glass, then faded into the hide. Liam got to his feet eventually. He loaded the calf into the pickup and drove to the hilltop. He added a 5th cairn. 5 graves now marked the years. No words, no marker, just frozen earth and stone. Later, he returned to the circle site. The cattle had dispersed, but the snow held the story.
That's no bear. Too long a stride. Too deliberate. Something walked out of that circle on 2 legs.
He followed the prints, rifle ready. They led away from the circle in a straight line, unhurried. They stopped at the tree line. The dark firs stood silent, no sound, no movement. Liam stopped. Every instinct told him the trees were watching back.
Not today. I am not going in there.
He backed away and never mentioned the footprints to anyone. But he knew now something physical was tied to the circles, and it was still out there, waiting. A month later, Liam prepared for the next due date with a new plan. He would lock the heavy cows in the barn overnight.
No circle in there. Let the mountain try.
He double-bolted the heavy doors and hung lanterns from the rafters. The barn was solid timber and iron. A blizzard hit that night, screaming down off the Wallowas. The barn groaned and shuddered. The cattle began to panic. Hooves thundered against the stalls, a sound like splitting wood. A support beam snapped. The herd crashed through the doors, charging into the storm, bodies and snow exploding outward.
No, not again.
Dawn revealed the barn half collapsed. The cattle had formed a perfect circle around the wreckage. Under a fallen beam, a dead newborn calf lay, eyes open, the spiral mark already fading on its leg. Liam stood in the wreckage, hat in hand. He had tried to cheat the mountain. It had answered. Liam found Walt on his porch, sitting in a rocker with a bridle across his lap. The old rancher looked up, unsurprised.
I heard about the barn. Thought you could outsmart her, didn't you?
Liam didn't answer. Walt got up, went inside, and returned with a leather-bound journal.
My grandfather wrote this. Read it, then decide.
That night, alone in his cabin, Liam set the journal on the table and lit the oil lamp. The first entry was dated 1932. Circle again. 3 calves this year. No wolves. No bloat. The herd is fat. The mountain keeps her end. He turned page after page. 1945. A single calf. 1958. A calf. Every few springs, the same entry at the bottom of one page in heavier ink. You let her take one. The rest live. Do not fight the mountain.
6 graves on my hill. Proof in my own chart. Every year I fought, I lost more. Maybe the old man was right all along.
He closed the journal, his hands trembling slightly, and stared out the window at the dark bulk of the mountain. He opened his own calving log and laid it beside Walt's journal. The red marks lined up like a dark mirror.
In the years, the circle came. No coyote kills, no bloat. The mountain protected my herd. But for a price.
He traced his finger from a 2015 entry. 5 calves lost to coyotes to a 2016 entry. 1 circle, 1 calf. No other deaths.
Attacks. Walt used that word. A trade.
He stood and walked to the window, the mountain a black silhouette against the stars.
She protects what's hers, but I never asked for this deal.
He could feel the weight of the choice settling on him, heavier than any winter storm.
If I do nothing, I let it happen. I'm complicit.
But the alternative was more graves, more wreckage, maybe the herd itself gone. He didn't sleep that night. He sat by the window, the journal in his lap, and waited for dawn. The next calving season, Liam saddled his horse before dawn and rode to the high ridge. He didn't go down. He just watched.
If it happens, I let it happen. That's my choice.
By morning, the cattle formed the circle. A calf lay in the center, face up, eyes open.
I could ride in and take it, but I won't.
The calf had been alive minutes before. Then it died, no struggle, just a stillness that echoed across the snow. Liam didn't move until the circle broke. The cattle wandered off to graze as if nothing had happened. He rode down, lifted the calf onto his horse, and carried it to the hilltop. He buried it beside the others. No words, no marker, just another cairn of stones.
7. But the rest of the herd is whole. That's the trade.
He rode back to the cabin and entered a black mark in his log. No red. The mountain had taken its due, and he had let it. That spring, Liam rode through the lower pasture and counted his new calves. Every single one was alive, nursing, growing.
No coyote tracks, no bloat. The mountain kept its word.
At the feed store, the talk was grim. Ranchers complained about coyotes hitting hard, taking calves in broad daylight. The Birch place lost 10 calves. The Johnsons lost 8. Liam said nothing.
Mine are all alive. One calf for all this. It's not a curse. It's a trade.
He returned home and opened his logbook. The black marks were there, but no red ones. In every year, the circle had come. Not one other calf had been lost to sickness or predator.
The tax isn't superstition. It's the cost of doing business up here.
He never spoke of it, not to Dr. Hughes, not to the insurance woman. The mountain's bargain was his alone, and every season, the herd grew stronger, while others wondered at his luck. 3 springs later, the circle came again. Liam saw it from the ridge, sat his horse, and let it finish. He buried the calf without a word. The hilltop cairn grew to 10. Another 3 years, another calf. The herd now numbered over 700.
12 graves on the hill, but the herd has never been healthier.
He stopped counting the years. The circles came like seasons, and he paid without hesitation. Outsiders noticed the Callahan luck. The newspaper ran a headline: Wallowa Ranch celebrates 50 years zero predation losses. Liam read the article, set it aside. He knew the true ledger was written in black marks in his log, not in the press.
They call it luck. They don't know the price.
He still rode the ridgeline every calving season, watching, just in case, but he never interfered again, and the mountain kept her word. Years later, at another cattlemen's meeting, a young rancher with a troubled face pulled Liam aside. He'd found his herd in a perfect circle, 3 springs in a row, a dead calf each time. The vet had no answers.
This boy is where I was. He's looking for a way to fight it.
Liam set down his coffee, looked at the young man, and heard Walt's voice in his own words.
It's a tax. The mountain takes one a few years. That's all.
The young rancher waited for more, but Liam offered none.
I am the old man now, and I am not going to convince him. That's his path.
He saw the confusion and fear in the younger man's eyes, the same he'd felt years ago, but he didn't elaborate. He didn't mention the journal or the cairns or the bargain. He simply turned back to his coffee and let the silence do its work. Seasons turned. Liam's hair went white, his hands gnarled, but he still ran the high country alone. The cairns on the hillside had multiplied. He stopped counting at 16, but the herd had never been stronger.
Every 3 springs, she takes one. The rest walk untouched.
One evening, as the light died over the Wallowas, he saw the familiar pattern begin in the lower pasture. The cattle moved into place, a dark ring on the snow, and in the center a calf lay down and did not rise.
There it is. The tax is due.
He didn't move from the rocker. The cup of coffee went cold in his hand. When the circle broke and the cattle drifted off, he let out a slow breath. The mountain had taken its share.
And the herd will live. That's the bargain.
He rose stiffly and went inside. The logbook lay open, waiting for another black mark. The mountain never showed itself in any form a man could name. No voice, no vision. It took only what it was owed. One calf, once every few springs, and no more. The rancher who paid the toll kept his herd whole. Those who fought it lost more. Liam Callahan never remarried, never left the high country. He buried his price and moved on. He never knew if the mountain was a spirit, a beast, or just the land itself. He stopped asking. He still ranches the high country. The herd still grazes the lower pasture. The cairns still grow, and in the calving season, he still watches from the porch as the circle forms and the toll is taken. He does not look away. He does not interfere. He has learned to let the mountain take its share. He has not lost a calf to predation, weather, or disease in any year the circle happened. Whatever the mountain is, it keeps its bargain. Snow fell, melted, fell again. The ranch breathed in its ancient rhythm. Calving came with its usual chaos. New life bawling in the frost. The grass came thick and green. The herd fattened, and the mountain loomed over it all. At roundup, Liam rode among them, old now, but still sharp. The hands said he talked to the mountain, but the circle came back, as it always did. A dark ring on the snow, a calf gone still. Liam sat his horse on the ridge, hat brim dripping melted snow. He did not go down.
Take your share. The rest are mine.
When the circle broke and the cattle scattered, he rode down. The calf was light in his arms as he carried it away. The cairns grew higher. The ledger filled with black marks, and the herd never sickened. The mountain said nothing. It never did. It simply waited, as it had for 1,000 years. One afternoon, a pickup crunched up the gravel drive. A young rancher stepped out, hat in hand. He'd lost 3 calves to the circles already. The fear was carved into his face. Liam was on the porch, whittling. He didn't look up until the footsteps stopped. He asked about the circles. Liam said nothing, just went inside and returned with the leather journal. The same journal Walt had placed in his hands decades ago. The pages still smelled of old smoke.
Read that. Then decide if you want my answer.
The young rancher took the book, staring at the worn leather. He didn't open it yet. Liam turned back to the porch, leaving the boy with the weight of 100 years. He thumbed open the cover. Old ink whispered up, and the mountain behind them waited. Liam didn't watch. He picked up his knife and his coffee and let the silence do its work. He still ranches the high country, alone and old, but unbowed. In the morning he rides the fences, and in the evening he watches the pasture from the porch. The herd moves like slow ink on the snow, and he knows every one of them by sight. When the circle forms, he does not ride down, not anymore. He watches it form, silent and perfect. From the ridge, the coffee goes cold in his hand, but he does not look away from the circle. When it breaks, he rides down and carries the calf to the hill of cairns. Inside, he opens the logbook and inks another black mark. His herd has never known sickness, never known a winter kill. He has not lost a calf to predation, weather, or disease in any year the circle happened.